Now, I will say this in defense of all comic book properties. People don't realize how hard it is to do the performance that they give, like to go to that length in front of a green screen. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Whole Views, and today we get to discuss Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We're doing a spoiler discussion. If you like reviews and reactions, subscribe to the channel because that tends to be what we do here. Now let's talk about Doctor Strange. I want to start the video off with a question, and it's the biggest question that I had coming out of the movie, seeing everything that happened and everything that unfolded. My biggest concern or my biggest mystery that we saw on screen was, what happened to White Vision? I felt like that should have been addressed. I know that this show is not a Wanda vehicle. It was more a Doctor Strange, like moving his character forward past his romance and all the other stuff. But White Vision, I feel like should have came into play at some point in this movie for Wanda. I think it's possible that he could have even redeemed her without getting to the end moments that we got with her like facing the consequences of her actions. White Vision, I feel like just his presence would have helped heal her and like save her without her killing herself. So I think that was a big deal, not having him present. Coming out of WandaVision and coming out of Doctor Strange, it's just a big question to me as to like, okay, if he flew off at the end of WandaVision and he wasn't present with her at the cabin in that end credit scenes, then he never shows up to support her or help her snap back to reality in Doctor Strange. It's like, well, what are you doing? Where are you? When will you pop up again? If you ever will pop up again, is one of my biggest concerns. Aside from that though, the movie was really, really good. It was done well. I think all the secrets were held pretty close to the vest. I know Kevin Feige has done an interview recently talking about how he didn't like that the Patrick Stewart cameo was kind of leaked in a trailer. And I will say the way the movie is put together, it's very believable that he did not want that reveal. The way Patrick Stewart was like rolled out at the end of the introduction of the Illuminati, it's like Krasinski was there to be a big moment, but the bigger moment was set up to be Professor X and Patrick Stewart in the yellow chair, so that's a big deal. But you know, because of marketing, we had already saw Patrick Stewart in the yellow chair. We had already seen and heard his voice. So it's like there was not much impact with him rolling onto screen. My theater actually erupted with the sight of John Krasinski because for most people, that was the biggest surprise. That along with Monica Rambeau and seeing her be Captain Marvel, that was pretty cool to me as well. As a person who has the comics with the Black Captain Marvel in it, it was pretty dope to see. Captain Carter, not a big, huge deal. I think it's mainly because of the What If episodes. We saw her and it was like, oh, that was nice. Talking about the movie in particular though, and not just the cameo stuff, I hear a lot of people saying the cameo stuff is what kind of took them out of the film. And I'm like, I don't understand. There were so many criticisms of Doctor Strange that I just don't understand. If you have any of those criticisms, please let me know in the comments. But it's the idea that this movie was messy. I've heard that from several different people, like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness is a mess, but it's this and this and this. And I'm like, you lost me when you said it's a mess. This movie is so clear and so simple. I don't understand how people can call it a mess. We jump in at the beginning of the story. There's an action sequence between an alternate version of Doctor Strange and America Chavez. And we see things play out. And those instances are the things that bring this, like, move the story forward. Like, you get introduced to the idea of a multiverse. There's different Stranges. You see a different version of Strange. You see her power gives her the ability to jump from this place to that place. All the pieces are in motion. You see where Strange is, where he's still kind of like feeling some type of way over Christine and going to her wedding and dealing with people, seeing, you know, being back from the blip and you know, snap and all this other stuff. And you get the idea, okay, Strange is gonna have to deal with his issues with Christine. But more than that, he's gonna have to deal with America because America shows up with the big one-eyed squid monster and all that stuff and it interrupts the wedding. It's like, yo, like what about this is a mess? Like it started, you see everything, all the pieces are in place for the players. And then it's a very simple story of, hey, this person's the bad person, which was revealed very early. And it's like, okay, protect America Chavez. That's it. That is all we have to be concerned with throughout the film. I don't see why they call it a mess. I don't get anything about the plot to me that was messy. I'm sure if I watch the movie again and I look at it like a little bit closer, I'll probably find some type of plot hole, things that I can complain about. But I followed the story so easily, and there was nothing in there that felt useless or pointless. I don't know what people are talking about. I don't get the complaints about the movie being a mess. I feel like it was very coherent. Another big thing that I've seen online is Jamie Lee Curtis, who starred in the Everything Everywhere at Once, a movie that I wanted to see so bad, and it never came to my area, so I was never able to go check it out. But Jamie Lee Curtis did a review, and her review was basically trashing Multiverse of Madness and saying that Everything Everywhere All the Time All at Once, that has so much more heart and it's so much more original and it's for a smaller budget and blah 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 blah. And like, I don't understand, first of all, the idea that you cannot like more than one thing at one time. Like, you can like Everything Everywhere and you can also like Multiverse of Madness. There's no monopoly on things you can enjoy. And my second thought is that I don't think people see MCU movies, the ideas and the themes that go along with them. Like, I've heard people say that side with Jamie Lee Curtis say things like, oh, Doctor Strange and these Marvel movies have no heart, they have no big ideas. And it's like, there's a lot of stuff that's being addressed in this Doctor Strange movie that are like thematic ideas. First and foremost, the emotional attachment that Strange does not have in his life. Like, he wants a significant other, he wants it to be Christine, but he doesn't want to put her in danger. And based on Twitter and the little pop-up cameo at the end with Charlize Theron, I think that they're setting him up to have a significant other in the MCU, which would be cool, that he gets to have somebody that he cares for. He talks about wanting to care for someone and wanting someone to care for him. Like, that's a thing in the superhero genre. They always have the issues with the significant others being taken and being placed in danger, and they have to get over that stuff. They have to get past that stuff. And it looks like that is the road that Strange is now on. We also see in this movie that our universe, the 616 universe, the one that we've been following, our Strange and probably our characters are unique in comparison to other multiverses. And when I say that, I just talk about the running idea. Like, the first Strange we're introduced to, he takes the easy way out, or at least he tries to, and tries to take America's power. And it's like, yo, that's not the best way to go. You gotta do everything you can to save the people involved. We see that from our Strange. We see in the other universe where Mordo was the Sorcerer Supreme and you have the Illuminati present, their Strange also had cut corners and tried to do things the wrong way, and he had to pay the price for his actions as well. And it's like, our Strange is unique. And I think that is something that we established here in this movie, that the characters that we've been following are more unique or more genuine, maybe more heroic than other versions. And I think that's an idea, that's a theme that gets solidified in this film. It's like, people's like, oh, there's no real ideas. It's like, there's ideas, bro. They make sense. I've heard the complaint about people saying like, oh, there's no consequence to this because all the characters that we introduced to, the Mr. Fantastic, the Captain Britain, and Professor X, all these guys, they all in another universe and they died on top of them being in another universe. So what's the consequence? They didn't bring in mutants. I think the one thing that people need to understand about Marvel is that they are not going to speed their way into mutants and Professor X and Wolverine and having everybody present in one film at one time. We saw the Infinity Saga play out over 23 entire films. There's no way that they're gonna be introducing all these characters and make them permanent fixtures in the MCU that we know and we follow in the next 4 or 5 movies. That's gonna be something that takes a very long road to be traveled. I'm assuming another 20 films that we get over the course of the next 7 to 10 years. Like, there's no way that you can look at one film setting up everything that people have expectations for. And I think that's, that's an issue when it comes to watching anything or enjoying anything. People have expectations and they want those expectations to be met. It's something that I just talked about recently in my Moon Knight review. When I looked at the finale, I wanted certain things to happen and I was kind of disappointed because it didn't happen. I was not disappointed here with Multiverse of Madness though, because my expectations are much lower. I don't know why, but with cinema and going in and catching a one movie experience, I think it's different because my expectations are lower. With a season, as I watch Moon Knight, like they are teasing things and now I'm anticipating. My anticipation is building and building and building. And then by the time we get to the end of the season, things aren't paid off and then I feel more let down. It's not the same with movies. Like I kind of just take what I'm given with the film. Last point I'll talk about is about the acting. So I mentioned in my non-spoiler review that this movie taught me a bit about acting. And when I say that, I say this. If you've seen The Power of the Dog, it was a Netflix film from last year, got nominated for a bunch of awards. Benedict Cumberbatch did a great job. I didn't truly enjoy the movie, but I do recognize that visually, cinematography, and acting performances, it was amazing. It was a beautiful, boring movie though, to me. I was not very much entertained by it. And what I'll say after watching Benedict in Doctor Strange and having that last performance of Power of the Dog on my mind that he did in there, it was an amazing performance. My thought is, I get it now. I see why the artsy fartsy movie reviewers like, oh, I just love cinema and I just love direction and I went to art school and I went to, film school. All those people, I get why they like what they like now. I understand it. It's not that Benedict Cumberbatch is not giving his best in Doctor Strange in the Marvel movies, or any of the actors in the MCU not giving their best performances. They're doing good performances. The difference is the roles in the MCU demand so much less of an actor. And I think people who are really into the artistic stuff and they want to see everything that the Academy has to offer and they love the Oscar movies, it's like, oh, I see what y'all want to see. Y'all want to see powerful, challenging performances every time an actor gets on screen. You don't like the light, fluffy, surface level performances. Because when I watched Benedict in Doctor Strange, he was very convincing as this is Doctor Strange. Like if you had a different actor playing that, it wouldn't hit the same. If they cast another actor as this version of Strange, it would feel weird because everything that we know is Benedict as Doctor Strange. But seeing Benedict in The Power of the Dog, it showed me, hey, he's really stepping away from what we know him to do. He's really being different from how we normally see him. Doctor Strange is like the same performance he gave in Multiverse of Madness could be the same level of performance or level of effort he gave in Infinity War or in Endgame or in Doctor Strange 1. It's like the role never demands him to go above and beyond when it comes to the performance that we see on the screen. Now, I will say this in defense of all comic book properties. People don't realize how hard it is to do the performance that they give, like to go to that length in front of a green screen. The majority of these movies are like green screen. It's like dots on your face and you're in pajamas and you're doing your best to be convincing. And I think that for an actor is just as tough as giving this dramatic, heartfelt, Oscar-worthy performance that they have in a really realistic, real setting. Another example I'll give is Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver. I look at, they did the Marriage movie. That was a Netflix film. They got a lot of, praise and attention. And I'm sure that was very difficult for them to, take it to that level of realism in a relationship on screen, even though they weren't really in a relationship in real life. That's challenging to make that believable and real, and the pain and the hurt that they displayed in that movie. That's difficult. But at the same time, it's just as difficult to put on this weird looking outfit that Adam Driver puts on in all the Star Wars movies and like transform your body physically and then carry yourself in a certain way while looking at people in pajamas. You know what I'm saying? And looking at a green screen all the way around you. Only thing real is the floor in the room. And now you have to take it, to a certain level of extremes when you are acting and pretending to be this mythical Star Wars character, or Scarlett Johansson, you know, dressing in this military outfit and fighting and, you know, on a zip line, and you're doing all this stuff in midair, stunts and stuff like that, or you're on a green screen and they're just blowing wind at you and you have to pretend you're flying. Like, that's difficult too. It's just, it comes across very differently on the screen when we see it in the cinemas. And I finally understand, after watching those two, I finally get, okay, the artistic stuff has its place and it has its level of respect among audiences, but I don't want to discount how difficult it is to do that same thing with a lighter performance surrounded by nothing, just a green screen behind you. So I guess that's all I have as far as my thoughts for the movie. You know, I liked Krasinski popping up. It was a huge moment. I had no idea that he would be in there. And I enjoyed Professor X in the film as well. Everything was cool as far as the Multiverse of Madness movie. I don't have any real major complaints. I just want to know what happened to WandaVision. That's a big deal. Anyway, let me know what you think happened to him, or, you know, any complaints that you may have or thoughts that you may have about the movie. Drop it in the comment section. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.